I'm gonna need to go ahead and ash this stove because it's really built up at the moment. If we look in here, let me see. Who's here, pumpkin? She's sleeping. He's resting. He's sleeping, pumpkin. I love you, baby. It's all ice out there. So I think we got Baron and Elsa coming again on their snowboard. Sick. Gosh, there's a lot of ice on this thing. Yeah, you can see them way down there. You can see the headlights. They're coming this way. All right, look, no, stay in here. Stay in here. Stay. Don't go out.
I'm just gonna spin around, okay?
What's up, guys? Here comes Sierra. Sierra, don't. Dude, this storm is awesome. One thing I forgot to do was check the guidelines outside, and I want to do that just because it's supposed to be really windy tonight. And tight guidelines help it to where the tent walls aren't as loud. So we're gonna go outside, knock those out real quick, and I want to do it before it gets dark because the wind's just supposed to get to 35 miles an hour tonight, and so they'll just help with keeping it a little less noisy. It's still gonna be pretty noisy, but any little bit, helps. So let's go do this real quick. Come on. There's lots of snow. Look at all this snow. It's like the whole thing's covered. This is all ice. That's a big piece of ice right there. All right, let's go outside. Okay. Oh man, it is really cold. Wow. It is frigid. I mean, the temperatures have dropped like crazy. All right, let's get these lines covered and go back in. All right, I want to get about a little bit more charge in the battery here. All right. Check out the tent here. Look at the vestibule. It's completely covered. I think we got about 2 more inches of snow so far throughout the day. Maybe a little bit more. And it's definitely, my feet are covered. There's my foot. And it's really pretty. The wind hasn't started up yet, which is really nice. And so it's kind of cool how the tent glows. Let me turn off my headlamp here. So I've got only 2 lights in there at the moment, but if I grab a few more, I can really light it up, and it looks awesome. kind of at night, you know. Look how much snow and ice and stuff is over the window. Little flap. This is a plastic flap, so you can put this down, it zips in, and then Velcro's on right here. And that way, if you want to have the window open but not have any cold air coming in through the windows, you can. So let's go ahead and start the truck real quick and get the inverter going. Alright, I think we're all set with that. We're gonna let that run just for a little bit. Let's see this side over here. Just want to see what the snow looks like over here. Oh yeah, there's a ton of it. My icicles keep getting bigger. So those, look at this one here. Look how much bigger it's gotten from today until now. That's so awesome. I love it. So this is going to be really cool looking when in the morning after all this snowfall and the really cold evening, and hopefully the wind stays chill. I mean, like I was saying, it was supposed to get to like 35 miles an hour tonight, but if it doesn't, then all this snow will stay on here and we'll wake up to like a really cool landscape. Battery charging, we are good to go. Okay, so you saw how in that last clip how the stovepipe was just kind of just going back and forth. I don't have it screwed in to the stove, and the reason for that is the stove itself is super heavy, and so the base of it is solid. The base isn't going anywhere. And then up here where the stove actually, the stovepipe goes through the stove jack there, that's a pretty snug fit. And so it holds it in pretty good, and I've noticed that when I did have it screwed in before, I had the stovepipe screwed in my first winter camping, and it would make all these clanking noises because it would like the wind would come and it would strain it really hard, and it would be like, and make all these noises and then go back, way more so than it's doing now. And so I just found the method I use, I call it like the floating method. So it just kind of just sits the stovepipe in there. And when you run the stove after a couple days, a little bit of debris and stuff and creosote will build up on the inside, and it actually kind of weighs it down and makes it heavy. And so that will keep it in the stove opening there on top of the stove box, and it won't come out of my stove at all. Now I think if this was just sitting out in the open, didn't have the stove jack holding it in place, I think there'd be a real big risk of the stovepipe possibly like coming apart or something like that. But the sections right now, because there's 4 sections that I put together of the stovepipe, you can see the damper section right here, the first section, and the start of the second section up there, but there's 2 more sections that go up. And so those are all holding together fine right now, and I don't think these winds are bad enough. I mean, the worst winds I've ever had, these are about 35 miles an hour right now, and the worst winds I've ever had have been 70 miles an hour. That was horrible. I mean, it just, your whole tent, like all the walls are flexing like crazy all the time. It just sounds like a freight train running through your tent, and you can't get any sleep at all. So, but tonight's not bad. It's just coming in waves, and so you can't get any sleep because you try to go to bed, and then you wake up because you get slammed with a really loud wind rush and tent noise about every 2 or 3 minutes, so you can't really go to sleep. So it's gonna be a long night. So we got some condensation buildup from all the snow that's been melting outside. So this is all the ice on the interior of the tent right now. And what I'll do in the morning is this flakes off pretty easy. So I'll just flake it all off before it starts melting, and then pick it up from off the ground and throw it in the stove or something like that, or throw it over by the stove. But you can kind of see, you know, how the moisture kind of tracks down, you know, these folds in the tent here. Then it'll go down and go all the way down to like the floor of the tent there. And what'll happen is if I don't get this all picked up, and see, as you can see, actually kind of like a lot, like right there, there's a lot of ice on the seam right there. What'll happen is if I don't get this picked up, then it'll all melt, and then it will drain down this way and kind of gather down underneath the tent floor down there. So gonna have a lot of chores to do in the morning. Too hot. I'm gonna need to go ahead and ash this stove because it's really built up at the moment. If we look in here, let me get my headlamp on. If we look in here, there's way too much spent coals and stuff like that for me to be able to put in more wood. So we got to get some of these out of here. So I'm gonna go ahead and ash this thing right now. And I really don't want to do that because with the wind, it's gonna be crazy to try to get this outside and put out in the fire pit, because with all the wind, the ash can get up in your eyes and stuff like that. With it being hot, that's kind of dangerous. It can be kind of messy though with the wind and, you know, whipping around and stuff like that. So let's ash this real quick and we'll take it outside. All right, sun's coming out now. The ice is everywhere on the interior here. If we look here, look at this. It's like raining ice down all over everything. So what I'm gonna do is, since the sun's coming out right now, what this is gonna do is gonna heat up all the walls and make it to where, you know, I mean, you're seeing drips come down all over the place. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab the towel over there and towel this off and get this all squared away. Because if I don't get on it now, then everything's gonna get wet and all the water will just seep down here and pool down at the lower end over here. What you doing here, sweetie? What you got, man?
It's like getting warm. House of solar coming.
Look at all that ice.